Let's be honest. You probably haven't read a book cover to cover since high school, right? And it's not because you don't want to. You've got a stack of books sitting on your nightstand collecting dust. You see everyone online talking about how reading changed their life, and you want that too. You want to be curious, study different subjects, maybe even become the modern day polymath. But every time you try to sit down and read, you can't focus more than a few pages. Your mind wanders, your phone buzzes, and before you know it, you've given up again. I've been there. I used to think I wasn't a reader, like somehow people had this ability that I didn't. But the truth, I never actually built a reading habit. And without a habit, reading always feels like a chore. A habit is something that becomes automatic in your brain. It's when activity no longer requires conscious thought. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't have to force yourself to do it. You just do it. Or hopefully you do it. That's what we need reading to become. Here's what makes this so frustrating. You know reading's important. You see other people doing it effortlessly and you wonder what's wrong with you. So you try to force it. You tell yourself, I'm going to read for an hour every day. You buy that book everyone's recommending, and then when you inevitably can't stick to it, you feel guilty and give up entirely. Maybe you've tried a few times. Maybe you've even made it through a book or two, but it never stuck. It never became something you just do. The problem isn't your willpower. The problem is you're trying to go from 0 to 60. You're trying to read physical books when your brain hasn't read anything substantial in years. It's like trying to run a marathon when you haven't exercised in years. Of course it's going to be hard. And the worst part, every failed attempt makes it harder to try again. You start to believe you're not a reader, that it's not for you. But that's not true. You just need a better system. So here's what finally worked for me. A 3-step system that builds your reading habit progressively, starting with the easiest possible entry point and gradually working up to where you want to be. Here's the principle. A habit is formed when an activity no longer requires conscious thought. Reading needs to become automatic, not something you force. But to get there, we need to remove as much friction as possible at the beginning. We need to make it so easy that you can't say no. So step 1 is to start with audiobooks only. This removes all friction. You can listen while commuting, cooking, working out, doing the dishes. You're building momentum without requiring any major behavior change. You're relearning what it feels like to consume full books without the struggle. And here's why this matters scientifically. Your brain has limited processing capacity. This is called cognitive load theory. When you haven't read in years, just decoding words on a page takes a ton of mental energy. Audiobooks remove that load entirely, so you can focus purely on comprehension and actually enjoying the book. This step is all about building momentum. Step 2 is to listen to audiobooks while reading the physical book simultaneously. This is where the magic happens, and this is the part that completely changed things for me. By listening and reading at the same time, you're activating 2 learning pathways at once. The auditory input keeps you focused and moving forward while your eyes follow along the page. There's actually research behind why this works so well. It's called dual coding theory. When your brain processes information through multiple channels at the same time, it creates stronger neural connections. The information becomes stickier, you retain more, and you're training your brain to focus on text again. It's like training wheels for reading. You get the focus benefit of audiobooks, but you're rebuilding the visual reading muscle at the same time. And here's something I didn't expect. This actually made reading enjoyable again. There's something about hearing the words while seeing them that makes the book come alive. You're not struggling to focus, you're just in that flow state. Step 3 is read the physical book without audio. This is your end goal. Once you've built the habit and focus through steps 1 and 2, reading without audio becomes natural. Your brain is already used to sitting down and engaging with books. You're not starting from scratch, you're just removing the training wheels. And this is where habit research really backs up why this progressive approach matters. A study from University College London found that building a new habit doesn't take 21 days like people think. It actually takes an average of 66 days, with some people taking as long as 254 days, depending on the complexity of the habit. That's why we start easy and build up. By the time you get to this step, you've already been building the habit for weeks through the easier methods. Plus, here's the bonus. You can read visually much faster than someone can read aloud to you. So you'll actually consume books 2 to 3 times faster than you could with just audiobooks. This isn't about willpower. This is about building a system that works with how your brain learns, not against it. All right, here's exactly how to implement this. I'm going to walk you through each step so you know exactly what to do. First, you need to get set up with audiobooks. Download the Audible app. They usually have a free trial so you can test this without spending money. Not sponsored, by the way. Or if you don't want another subscription, just try YouTube. You can sometimes have some good luck finding full audiobooks there. Now here's the most important part of this step. Pick a book you're genuinely curious about. not something that you think you should read, not the super dense philosophy book, and not something that's going to feel like homework. Pick something that genuinely interests you. For me, it was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Practical, engaging, and easy to follow. Start listening during dead time, commuting, exercising, cooking, cleaning, anywhere you're doing something that doesn't require much mental energy. Your only goal this week is to build momentum. Listen for at least 10 minutes a day. That's it. Don't worry about retention or taking notes or anything else. Just get comfortable with the process of consuming books again. Once you've got some momentum with audiobooks and you're feeling good about it, it's time to set up your reading environment and move to step 2. First, designate one specific spot as your reading location. For me, it's right here at the desk. For you, it might be a specific chair, a corner of your living room, your bed. It doesn't matter where. Just pick one spot and make it your reading spot. Next, get the physical copy of whatever book you're listening to. If you're listening on Audible, grab the paperback or hardcover. If you're going the budget-friendly route and you're listening on YouTube, see if you can get the book from your library or buy a used copy for cheap. Now, set a specific time that works for your life. Morning or evening, it doesn't matter. Just block out 10 to 20 minutes. Put it in your calendar if you need to. Here's the key. When you sit down for this dedicated reading time, eliminate distractions. Phone away, computer closed if you're not taking notes. Just you, the audiobook playing, and the physical book in front of you. Press play on the audiobook and follow along in the physical book. That's it. Your eyes are reading the words while your ears are hearing them. Now, I want to be really clear about something. Don't put pressure on yourself to do this perfectly. Life happens. Some days you won't be able to hit your reading time. Some weeks you'll only do this twice instead of 5 times. That's completely fine. If you only show up 5 times this month for 10 minutes each, that's 5 more times than last month. Progress isn't perfection. It's just showing up more often than you used to. Also, don't feel like you have to stick rigidly to this system. If you're in the car and you just want to listen to the audiobook without the physical book, do that. If you're at home and you want to read and listen, do that. The system should work for your life, not the other way around. Once reading with the audiobook feels comfortable, and you'll know when this happens because sitting down to read won't feel like a chore anymore, it's time to try reading a chapter without the audio. Here's how I did it. I'd start my reading session with the audiobook like normal. Then after a few minutes, I'd pause it and try reading on my own for a bit. If I lost focus, I'd just turn the audio back on. No shame in that. You're building a skill and skills take time. Gradually increase your solo reading time. Maybe this week you read 5 minutes without audio. Next week, 10 minutes. There's no rush though. And keep making it enjoyable. Read books you're excited about first and save the dense, heavy stuff for later when the habit is solid. If you try to force yourself through something boring just because you think you should read it, you're going to kill the momentum. The critical rule for all of this is consistency beats perfection. Some days you won't have the energy to read well. Show up anyway. Better to read poorly for 5 minutes than not show up at all. You're building a habit, not trying to impress anyone. This is for you. Reading is a skill, and like any skill, it just requires practice. The more you practice, the better you get. The tricky part isn't the reading itself, it's showing up to put in the reps. So start with step 1 this week. Download an audiobook and just listen. That's it. Then progress when you're ready. Let me know how it goes down in the comments. Keep learning, keep growing, keep going. And I'll see you in the next one.